which is shape-shifting, and how that relates to the creation and recreation of our identity. Energy is what we are. We are frequency, and we are fluidic, and we are flowing. So based on this premise and this direct experience, shape-shifting is inherent to the practice of healing, of energy healing. Shape-shifting allows us to transmute and transform the actual consciousness structures that create our identity. And these consciousness structures exist in our fields, biographical fields, ancestral fields, and beyond. And as a healer, I feel them in my felt sense, in my being. I can actually feel their frequency. And allowing myself to feel also allows me to transmute. And we live in a world where there is so much fear of feeling. Particularly, one thing that Judith mentioned was emotional shape-shifting. We live in a world where there's so much global unrest and shock and trauma, it's hard to feel. So actually that prevents the inner alchemist that exists within all of us from actually being able to transmute itself. So alchemy, which is what I practice, healing alchemy, is a process of transmutation. And it's a process of transmuting denser frequencies into lighter frequencies through embodiment. So not through our imagination, but actually through our felt sense and integration. So we bring in these frequencies into our inherent sense of 0 point, which is in the crown or in the womb, and allows us to master our own inner energetics, and essentially allows us to transform our entire identity. And for those of you who might have known me maybe 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, or even last year, will probably wonder who I am now, because I have grown and changed my entire identity so rapidly because I've been doing this process of constant collapse and rebirth. And now I offer that for people globally to experience directly the transmutation of their own field and the rebirth of their own identity. So shape-shifting is nature's metamorphosis. That's what was coming through my heart when I was writing this. Usually shape-shifting, when it comes to energy medicine, is associated with shamanic practices, where a shaman will embody a landscape, an animal, a structure. And the goal is not to become the jaguar. The goal is to access the frequency that is just the right frequency to meet what you are trying to cure or heal. So when you do that and there's a meeting and there's a contact, what happens is that there's a 0 point and a dissolution. So the actual frequency of the structure dissolves and transmutes and becomes a different frequency. And therefore, that's how you can self-heal and heal others. Every human being has an inner alchemist. And my mission is to help individuals, no matter where they are in their healing journey or in their consciousness journey, to start to believe that they have an inner alchemist. They have this voice of wisdom. They have this power to transmute endlessly frequency that they are getting stuck in. So we all know what it's like to get stuck, to stagnate, to feel like we're being held back. And it can be painful. When people exist in that frequency for too long or for long enough, and it's not healed, it gets projected and externalized into the world. And we can see that everywhere we look in the world. This is happening. And this is just a call for transmutation, for shape-shifting. So inner safety, and Tarek mentioned the word safety, and I felt it was so pertinent. I'm bringing it in here to do with a healing context. So inner safety and global security. I'm just making the link there because it is very, very obvious how human beings feeling safe enough within will allow for a deeper level of global safety, stability, and security. I believe that this is available, and it starts within us as individuals. Really interestingly, when we look at how the brain processes information, it's actually still a mystery. But recently, neuroscientists have discovered that there might be evidence that the brain processes in up to 11 dimensions. Now, how is this relevant and useful? For those of you who've had experiences in alternative dimensions, altered states of consciousness, or who actively work with your inner energetics and your dimensional realms and your sense of identity in multidimensionality, you will know well that there are so many spaces that you can find yourself in, self as a vibrating frequency, and you can do so much healing work there. So the brain being able to process in 11 dimensions, and mainstream science starting to become aware of multi-dimensional processing capacities, is taking us that one step closer to being able to accept and appreciate different levels of intelligence, including energetic and spiritual intelligence. When we go beyond the mental, the physical, the emotional dimensions, which are very dense, which are where frequencies often manifest, where it's harder to actually create change. When we go beyond those fields into the fields that are more like abstract space, i.e. that are unmanifest, that are awaiting our arrival, when we access those fields with our consciousness and we feel there and we're still, what becomes clear and felt within the individual is the vast amount of space, potential, and stillness. And this is one thing that we need to be able to support people to access right now, because people are suffering because they don't have space to express themselves. They can't access stillness, so their nervous systems are over active and stressed, and it leads to chronic illness and disease. So being able to access dimensional spaces from within, which are still and spacious, i.e. peaceful, allows us to bring heaven on earth, allows us to bring in peace into our animal bodies. So this actually supports vagal tone, it supports our nervous system, our harmonization of our mind, of our entire fluidic body, and also of our brain. It supports our limbic system, which is our emotional processing center, to actually be able to reprocess fear, process emotional trauma that's been held, and allow us to recreate our memories. We all know what it's like to be haunted by memories. And actually doing this kind of healing work will allow you to restructure the way that you perceive and experience your biographical domain, your memories. And I've experienced this firsthand, but I had to do it with plant medicines to be able to access the full consciousness within the memories that I believed I had. So memories are structures in time space. The more spacious you get, the more you're able to access of a particular memory, and therefore you get to see the whole picture. And often within trauma memories, what's missing is the purpose. Why did it have to happen like that to me? And as long as you're asking why, you cannot be at peace. The work I do is to support my clients to be able to access the purpose of pain and to work to find stillness within at a physical, emotional, and an energetic level. If you'd like to experience shape-shifting firsthand, I have shape-shifted into many different forms in order to support and catalyze healing. So the most recent one was the elements, where I shape-shifted into the elements in order to bring in elemental healing. In June, I have Cosmic Serpent. I will be shape-shifting into the frequency of the spirit of ayahuasca, which is often externalized as being something else, but is actually just a dimensional plane. These are opportunities for you to experience, not theoretically, but directly, how you can shift your own consciousness structures and heal and experience a deeper stillness and change your entire identity. From my own clients who come into my programs and experience their own ability to shapeshift as a normal human being, shapeshifting in extraordinary ways. So some examples that ordinarily you might think, oh, only a shaman can do that. Well, actually, everybody can do this. I was flying as a golden eagle above the Amazon, rediscovering the rising phoenix of my father's lineage. Another one, I transformed into a fetus protected by the earth's core. If that doesn't change you at a fundamental level, knowing that Earth is safe for you because you've had this inner experience, it will change you, and it does change people. I'm dumbfounded. I felt myself open up as big and wide as the Atlas Mountains, vast and so much space. So what I'm showing here through this slide is the common themes of shape-shifting, how it pertains to space, expression, transmutation of form. And there we have the final example. I feel no pain in my body. I'm full of trust, stillness, and space. All the emotions drained away, the void eclipsed. And I'm going to end on that note.